Hi, and welcome to the Poets and Quants Center Court event. I'm Dr. Naz Erenguc. I'm the Director of Admissions for the MBA program at the University of Florida, Warrington College of Business. And as a veteran of Center Court and as a friend of Poets and Quants, we figured we would change things up a bit. And instead of me being interviewed, I figured I'd be on the other end of this and I'd be on the interviewing side. So first, what I wanted to kind of give everybody is a layout of what this session is all about. Thank you for tuning in to what it means to be a Warrington MBA. The purpose of this chat is to have a candid conversation about what it truly means to be a Warrington MBA student. Hear firsthand on the insights on both academics, career support, sense of community, the student experience, while also gaining perspective on how the program shapes leaders both inside and outside of the classroom. So here with me today is Alan. He is a second-year full-time MBA student. So hi, Alan, and thanks for being here. I'm so excited to have this chat about your full-time MBA experience. So are you ready to shed some light on why you ended up in the swamp?
Absolutely. It's a privilege to be here.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, if you wouldn't mind, first start off by telling me about your background and what you were doing prior to coming to Gainesville and the University of Florida.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I was originally born in Northeast India in a state called Nagaland, and I moved to the States when I was 10. And after that, my professional experience was with Amazon before the program, where I was an area manager doing supply chain, and I would lead frontline operational teams, about 100 to 500 people to make sure that, you got your boxes on time. And so it was mostly about managing people, performance, and process efficiencies.
Perfect. So, I know that when you were applying, you had tons of options, especially since you were coming from the Midwest, I believe Chicago. So, my first question for you is what surprised you most about the Warrington MBA program?
Oh, wow. I would say what surprised me the most was how invested the people were in your development. I think I was pleasantly surprised with the BCS or our Business Career Services and how they walked us through the whole job searching process, right? They not only helped you with your resume, but also challenge you how to position yourself strategically, whether that's through via mock interviews or maybe with their LinkedIn DMs or opening their networks to who you could connect with within your department. That was something that was very surprising to me.
Perfect. I almost thought you were going to say that because Gainesville has no snow, that was going to be surprising. But I appreciate you kept it in the lens of MBA content. So, of course, this MBA program, you had tons of options. So why did Warrington make sense for you? And maybe why you think it wouldn't work for others?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, the reason why I wanted to come to Warrington was I was operating more on the execution side, and I wanted to really elevate in terms of strategy on a bigger level side. And the way I thought I could do that was via more mentorship and close-knit connections. And with Warrington, what I really liked is because of the small cohort sizes, you really do get the opportunity to build a relationship with your professors and also with the other services involved. And for me, that was a big factor hey, I think this is a place where I could really network, get that mentorship that I'm needing to grow into the next phase of my career. Also, it also helps that it had a really good ROI in terms of the program, and that was a really strong selling point for me as well.
Perfect. So, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that your cohort of new full-time students was about 30 students. And I know that there were some 1 year and 2 year students or other 1 year students and returning second years that you joined with. So, when you talk about kind of this community and kind of why it made so much sense for you, can you talk a little bit about maybe take a deeper dive of that sense of community and kind of how you all meshed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important. One thing to recognize if you're coming to a smaller program or smaller cohort is you are going to see these people every day. That's one thing to keep in mind when you're looking for a program size. And that means you often develop stronger relationships in the professional side, as well as also on the social side, which is fun. And for me, I found my group of friends and we got really close because one, we made a really good team in the classroom in terms of working on projects, making sure we kept each other accountable when it came to career fairs and recruiting. But also on the fun side of things, we got to go to Colombia for spring break last year. And even this year, we're going to Portugal. So it just really goes to show that that close-knit community extends outside of the classroom and even into more social settings to now you're vacationing together and stuff like that. So that was something that I was not expecting, but I'm really glad I found here at UF.
It's awesome to hear, and I'm a little sad that I didn't get the invite to either Colombia, Portugal, but that's okay. Maybe next time.
It's
So
not too late.
going going back to the topic of accessibility. So I know you started the session with what surprised you most was about business career services and how they kind of jumped on in and kind of preparing you. And we'll go into more of the career component here momentarily. But when you think about accessibility and your faculty interaction, can you maybe, shed a little bit of light as to kind of what that experience has been like with our faculty here at Warrington?
Yeah. So this is one clear example. We had a professor, shout out to Dr. Odile, if she's ever seen this, who taught our international marketing course. And she was a really fun professor. We liked it. We learned a lot from it. And I approached her and said, like, hey, we're doing this venture. Can you help us with it? And what was now a professor from an international marketing class, she's now leading a practicum helping us apply those exact same frameworks that we learned in class directly to Takom, which is the venture that we're building. And so you can really see like the integration here, not just between like, hey, the classroom theory stuff, but actually real life execution in a business setting. And not just the faculty too. I think the really cool thing was even the dean, like Dean Mitra, personally introduced me to like high level executive leaders just to believe and push that student experience. Like, hey, I really want to help you. I really want to support your venture. Like, this is what UF can offer. And to me, that just really shows how real and tangible this accessibility is. It's not just words on paper. It's like, wow, hey, the dean's getting involved. Like, I think that really shows you how much of a hands-on approach that UF takes with their students.
Perfect. So, I want to take a quick moment. Yeah, you alluded to this venture. Can you maybe take a little bit of a deeper dive in telling us kind of how did you land on, because of course I know Odile was fantastic as a support, but how did you land coming from, Amazon with, that experience to now saying, hey, this is what I want to do and I want to go and do this venture and getting involvement from other faculty members. Was there maybe any other class or anything that kind of, sprung up that maybe really enticed you to move forward with this vision?
Absolutely. And I think UF really did play a part of this whole story. It started at the very beginning with BCS coming in and Craig Petras, he made the introduction, said, hey, we have the VP and the CFO for this Dominican Airlines coming to present. Why don't you go attend that? So I did. And then from there on, he networked and said that, hey, this might be an interesting opportunity. So he connected me with Nick and Scott. And then that turned into an internship in the Dominican Republic, where it was a beautiful island, beautiful water, but also more importantly, I got to present in front of executives like C-suite level executives from like week two and really refine my strategic learnings that I wanted to uh, emphasize on and also like make visible impact. And from there, I realized that, hey, this is a real problem that the airline industry is facing from an emerging markets perspective. So I came back to UF and met up with some of my cohorts who, like I said, like the small classroom size means you build more intentional relationships. Went to some really intelligent of my cohort members and said, like, hey, do you want to build this idea? And then we went to a case comp where UF was really pushing AI and how we can actually apply it in our day-to-days. And so we went to the Gator case competition where we ended up winning it. And then the UF entrepreneurial arm got involved in terms of connecting us to different resources to make sure that this wasn't just a classroom theory, but actually something that we can push out. So it just really shows how connected and invested UF is since day one in bringing like a startup venture to life. So UF has been part of this whole journey throughout.
It's actually funny because I feel like it was just yesterday that you and I were meeting on Zoom for our first interview as you were embarking on this journey and applying to the MBA program. And here you are as an MBA student, a returning second year student. For those who are watching, they maybe don't quite get what a day in the life of an MBA student here at Warrington is like. So, do you mind kind of giving us more insight as to what a typical week or classes look like, so that everybody gets a bit of a deeper dive into what does it mean to be a Warrington MBA?
Of course. I think one thing your first half of the semester is going to be more intensive. And so your usual week would revolve around going to class, keeping up with your homework and things like that, which I think UF does do a really good job of putting in a rigorous program that really makes you think strategically and makes you learn new skills. But at the same time, they also focus on saying that, hey, like, we also want to make sure you're getting ahead career-wise. So they really strike that balance of making sure you're taken care of academically as well as professionally, which honestly, as someone who's coming in from professional workforce, I found that to be so valuable. And then the next part is you are now going to a ton of recruiting events. You're expected to be involved in professional development, how to present, how to work well with teams, how to story tell. And that could be every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, you're expected to attend one of these events. So make sure you are progressing professionally from a learning standpoint. And then after that, you're also expected to do coffee chats and network with other professionals within your field that you're recruiting for. And I think right here, UF really stands out in terms of a recruiting perspective to make sure that, hey, do I have the skills as a job seeker to make sure I succeed in a competitive market? And so here, whether that's doing mock interviews or resume refining sessions with BCS, this is where you kind of make those connections and say like, hey, can you help me with this? Or I just have a coffee chat with Procter and Gamble. Now I have a coffee chat with Coca-Cola. Stuff like this is very common. So that's just kind of what your average week would look like as an MBA student.
Now, I recognize that no 2 weeks are the same because the format of our full-time MBA program is that we run in 7-week mods. So every 7 weeks, you're in a new set of classes. It gives students a great opportunity to kind of reset. There's a 1 week break between each of those mods. And so it allows for students to not only kind of have that closure, if you will, with that kind of mini mod term, but it gives students an opportunity to reset because even though there's a lot that happens in the classroom, as Alan said, there's a lot that's happening outside of the classroom. Both what's happening in and out of classroom settings are purely designed to help grow you personally and professionally. And so, I know you already touched on the career switching aspect of the program for you. So can you talk to us a little bit about, I know that you had indicated that you did your summer internship, what some of the career coaching aspects have been, the coffee chats with companies, the corporate info sessions. But what are some other things that you're doing with your career coach to ensure that you're all ready to be a UFMBA?
Yeah, of course. I miss so from a prospective MBA side, in terms of career coaching, you're setting up appointments with your career coach to make sure like, hey, these are the list of companies that I've applied for this week, or these are the list of coffee chats that I have this week. And they're really trying to coach you and make sure you're accountable to make sure that you land a job that you want after graduation. And if not, they're also opening up their network towards different people that you could reach out to. Another thing that the UF program does really well is they bring in different speakers. And so if I can highlight this part, Naz, one thing that we learned during orientation was the 2-hour job search. And that was by Steve Dolan. And it really talked about how you can be efficient in the job search process, right? I know a lot of us don't have a lot of time. And UF not only just showed us the methods and gave us the book, but took it one step further and actually invited Steve Dolan, which I just thought was phenomenal, to where like we could ask him questions live and say like, hey, what are the best strategies to recruit here with the Google or Amazon, like whatever have you, and just having that experience was just awesome. So it just goes to show you how intentional that process can be.
That's amazing. Now, I know we touched on specifically business career services and faculty involvement, and I know that you were heavily involved in case competitions, and our case competition team oftentimes is led by a professional development team, and we do things such as the Rise to Leadership and some other seminars and MBA summits. Can you talk a little bit about some of those activities that we've put on for our students?
Of course. And with case comps, I hands down, if you guys get the opportunity, I highly recommend that you do them. And so what a case comp basically is that you have a company come in and they present a problem that they are currently dealing with. And it is your job as a team to figure out what is the best solution for the company, given their vision and strategy. And so you usually have either a week or 24 hours to go up and present to a panel of executives or judges who are from the industry to see if your idea is good or not. For me, I love case comps. I think I've done three so far. One that comes to mind is the World Case Competition that we did. And so it was a pretty big one. It had over 1,000 students from, I think, 250 MBA programs and across 17 countries. And for this one, we were tasked with developing a growth strategy for AB InBev. Um, and competing at that really taught me that, it's just more than also strategy, like leadership is involved, right? Working with different teams, how to navigate different and diverse perspectives and have clarity and preparation while you're still under this time crunch was just absolutely phenomenal. I also think that the older, just to expand on the community. I know we're talking about community so much, but the class above me, because I was a first year at this time, really did a good job of setting the stage of like, hey, this is how you lead and set up and prepare and plan for a case comp of this size. And so we ended up being a finalist there. That was an incredible experience. So highly recommend doing a case comp if you guys get there.
Thanks. That was super exciting to kind of hear. And I know that we have a case team, currently flying out today to compete in other competitions. So, reflecting on your professional goals, right? Your career goals. How do you plan on embodying the Warrington MBA values in your future career?
Of course. I think when I think of Warrington, I think of it means I think of building up people, just like the program really poured its resource into me, whether it was like professionally as a person. Uh, that's what I envision. I envision high standards as well as the investment into raising strong leaders. And so as I move forward at Tacom and which is my startup that I'm moving forward, I really want to invest in the people that I'm leading to make sure I'm leading well and really building up people because at the end of the day, I think that's what really matters. So that's something that you have really embodied during my time here with my MBA program, and that's something that I would continue to embody as well in my professional career.
That's great to hear. So, before I kind of take a next segue into you offering some suggestions for those who are watching, let me ask you this last question. What more specifically does it mean to be a Gator and a Warrington MBA? And how have been able to kind of reflect on this MBA experience and think about what the pinnacle has been?
Yeah, absolutely. For me as a Gator, what does that mean? I think it means one, helping my other fellow Gators out. And I've seen this whenever I've reached out to other alumni. They've always been willing to set up a coffee chat. I don't know this guy or gal except that we both went to UF, and they set that up, right? So it really means that Gator connection for me personally. And you had a second part of your question. Would you mind repeating that?
Yeah. So what has the pinnacle of your experience been?
Um,
If you don't say going to the swamp for a game, I'm going to be a little disappointed, but that's okay if you choose another answer.
Yeah, I think, man, there's been so much besides the awesome athletics too, which is so fun. I think it's just really the growth and the value that you do get as a professional. You are stretched to be a better version of yourself. It's uncomfortable at times, but this is why you're in the program. And so if you will be recognized. You're not just going to flood in, be one of 1,000. So please keep that in mind if you're applying to UF. Like you will be expected to participate. You will be expected to go to these professional events and really grow. And honestly, that has been my pinnacle moment, whether coming in as a first year to now, like leading the startup where we're dealing with emerging markets on a global stage. It's just been such a roller coaster of a ride. And the one word that just comes to my mind is just growth.
Awesome. That's the Gator growth for the Gator good, right? So I appreciate that, Alan. And thank you for sharing your kind of insights on what it means to be a Warrington MBA. I think that for anybody who's listening in today, hopefully you've gotten some insight as to, through his lens of being a student, what it means to be an MBA here at Warrington. But more specifically, we have some upcoming sessions throughout the Center Court event that you'll get to hear firsthand from our Director of Business Career Services, Kim Beach, who, spoiler alert, she is also a graduate of our full-time MBA program. She was not in Alan's cohort, but nonetheless, she has firsthand experience not only on the academic side, but of course now serving as our Director of Business Career Services. So she'll go into a deeper dive of all of the strategy that goes into how to build our MBA gators to help them land the careers that they're, hoping to, and to build themselves as Warrington leaders that we know they can be. But in addition to that, you'll also have an opportunity to learn more from me on what it takes to actually get into the MBA program. So I'll be hosting a session and talking through the application process and some of the things that you should be considering as you embark on this journey. So with that, I greatly appreciate our friends at Poets and Quants, the Center Court team. I look forward to seeing how all of this comes together, and I just appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today, Alan. Take care and have a great day.